This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Large or small, Virginia farmers work year-round to help put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Hi everybody, welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. Today we visit White Oak Lavender Farm in Harrisonburg and learn about this aromatic plant and its uses. Then Chris Mullins has tips on cleaning up your garden in the fall. We'll also have the Ag Calendar and a Minute in the Field video. All this plus your Ag News of the Week on this edition of Virginia Farming. U.S. farmers spent $397.6 billion on agricultural production in 2014. That's up 8.3% from the previous year. That's the largest increase since 2008, according to the National Agricultural Statistics Service. Feed, already the largest expenditure category for the nation's farmers, saw the highest increase, up 16%. Now, farm services, livestock, poultry, and other related expenses and labor were the other three major categories that saw notable increases. Feed costs were higher due to increased demand and crop production issues in some parts of the country. But experts say that grain and soy prices overall are lower this year, so we should expect to see feed prices soften in 2015, assuming there are no major production issues heading into harvest. Total expenditures in our Atlantic region were $48.2 billion. Well, while droughts in 2011 and 2012 decreased cattle herds across the country, the beef industry is now enjoying an increase in demand and price, particularly prices for breeding bulls. The higher price of feeder cattle and good amounts of rainfall to grow pastures and hay since 2013 have encouraged cow-calf operations to add more cows, creating a need for more bulls and driving prices even higher. Now, typically, a farmer will use one mature bull to breed 25 cows in a 60-day breeding season. Now, if everyone needs one more bull per every additional 25 cattle they add to their herd, that's a lot of bulls. And as of January 1st, Virginia farms held 637,000 beef cattle. Well, hundreds of Virginia farmers are utilizing a great new program to help their efforts to protect the environment. Norm Hyde has the story on the Virginia Resource Management Plan.
Kevin Engel has farming operations in 17 Virginia counties. That's a lot to keep track of. And his new Virginia Resource Management Plan helps him pull all of his conservation programs together.
In the areas that we farm, there are a lot of rivers. We have the Pamunkey, the James, the Nottoway, and the Hardware River, various other rivers. And it's important that we protect our rivers and keep the nutrients in our fields available for our crops and not end up in our rivers and ultimately end up in the bay.
Engel uses a number of conservation tools to reduce runoff and keep both his soil and nutrients out of the waterways surrounding his farm. Targeted applications of nutrients, cover crops to prevent erosion, and buffer strips around fields are just some of them. Most of these techniques are required or highly recommended by federal, state, or local conservation agencies. And he's been one of the first growers to implement them. But until the Resource Management Plan program began last year, there was no official way to pull them all together.
A resource management plan is a highly individualized conservation plan for farms that includes several components, including a nutrient management plan to reduce nutrients, a soil conservation plan to minimize soil loss, livestock stream exclusion on pasture, and for hayland and cropland, a 35-foot minimum buffer along perennial streams.
For instance, in this resource management plan, it talks about the different areas that we're farming in and some of the BMPs, best management practices, that we're going to use. And certainly nitrogen and phosphorus management are a big part of that.
Growers sign up to develop a resource management plan voluntarily instead of being ordered to do so by regulations. Glover says RMPs also offer a producer certainty. If a farmer works with a conservation planning expert to develop a plan, he or she will be certified to be in compliance with all future state conservation programs for the next 9 years.
We found that one of the most popular things with farmers with respect to resource management plans is that it is the best way for farmers to get credit for all of the conservation practices on their farms, particularly those that have not received either federal or state assistance.
If you create a problem, someone's going to come help you fix it, and you might not agree with their terms. So it's much better to be proactive and work with the powers that be to manage things in the proper way than to have to be reactive to oversight coming in and fixing your problems.
In its first year, the program's already very popular. Glover says the Department of Conservation and Recreation had a goal of writing 40 RMP plans this year. Instead, 274 plans will be finalized by the end of 2015.
The Resource Management Plan program was actually conceived by the agricultural industry, including organizations such as Virginia Farm Bureau. Virginia is one of the first states in the Bay watershed to implement a certainty program like this, and in fact, the state of Maryland has consulted with us for advice on how they might develop their own similar program.
The Virginia Resource Management Plan program was developed by all parties as a voluntary, state-driven response to the EPA's Chesapeake Bay program. Engel says it shows farmers are taking concrete steps to protect the bay, and that voluntary conservation programs are having an impact.
When you drive by and you see your topsoil staying in the field and the water coming off of the fields and the ditches clean, that means a lot. When I go over and see a dirty river, I don't like that. I want to see water in it, but I want to see the water clean.
Farmers and the general public can learn more about the Resource Management Program on the DCR website at dcr.virginia.gov. So far, the program only covers farms in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, but Glover says it's proven to be so popular, they're planning to expand it statewide in 2016. In Hanover County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde reporting.
Thanks, Norm. The best way for the concerns of rural communities to be recognized on the local, state, and national level is for farmers and other rural residents to get out and vote. That's why the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation has launched its I Farm, I Vote campaign. Because all 140 seats in the Virginia General Assembly are up for election this year, it's crucial for rural residents to elect people who will make decisions in agriculture's best interest. Farm Bureau is encouraging rural voters to display the I Farm, I Vote signs on their property and take photos with their signs to post to social media. To participate, visit the web address on your screen or contact a County Farm Bureau office for more information. Well, just outside of Harrisonburg lies bright purple fields streaming with lavender. Today we'll talk to Julie Haushalter, owner of White Oak Lavender Farm, and learn more about this unique plant. That's straight ahead on Ag Insights. Today we're in Cross Keys, Virginia, and we're visiting White Oak Lavender Farm. I'm joined by owner and CEO Julie Haushalter. Julie, thank you so much for having us out today.
Oh, thank you for coming to the Lavender Farm on such a beautiful day.
This is absolutely gorgeous. And this is one day I really wish that we had smell-o-vision because it smells so wonderful out here. So tell us a little bit about White Oak Lavender. How long have you been here?
Sure. White Oak Lavender's been in business for about 7 years that we have had people coming to the farm. The first thing that we always tell everyone when they come to the farm is that you just need to take a deep breath and relax.
And it's not overpowering. It's just, it's lovely. It really is.
Thank you.
Now, what made you say, hey, let's start a lavender farm?
Well, Amy, you know, there's a lot that's going on in the world that's really stressful. There's a lot of bad things that happen in the world that really are happening because people don't know how to manage their anxiety. And in my career, that's what I've done for a living, is work with a lot of folks that have some anxiety problems. So I always tell people along the way that as a farmer, I didn't search for lavender. Lavender found me.
How much of your farm did you decide to give over to the lavender?
Well, our farm actually is a historical farm. It was founded in 1901. And so primarily it had been cattle and horses and hay throughout the years. And so after my husband and I purchased the working part of this farm about 10 years ago, we decided that we would start growing herbs, and we were growing herbs for Shenandoah growers. After that is when I sort of discovered the lavender industry and decided to grow some test rows. I was told by lavender farmers all around the United States that if I didn't lose more than 10% of my crop in a wintertime, I was doing great, and I never did lose that much. And so I just kept planting, and now it's hobby gone wild.
Wow, I'd say it's gone wild. Look at this, all this lavender around us. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, we grow about 9,000 lavender plants in about 30 different varieties on the farm in order to make over 100 products that we market to our visitors.
100 products.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the plant itself.
Yeah.
What is your growing season and when do you harvest?
Good question. Lavender is a woody shrub, so it stays in the ground for about 20 years. It goes dormant in the wintertime, but in the spring it starts to green up again. And you can see that around May to June and July, it starts blooming, all of these beautiful, beautiful blooms. It comes in white and pinks and different shades of purple. The different varieties of lavender actually come into bloom at different times, and that's when we begin to harvest. We're actually harvesting for this bud that's on the stem. We use the bud and not the leaf of this particular plant. So when we harvest the lavender, we're using it for two things. One is that we are drying the lavender in order to take the little buds off of the stem so that we can use them in our spa products that we sew and in our cooking products. Then when the lavender is just fresh in the ground, we have to harvest it and take the fresh lavender to the distillery and steam it in order to get the essential oils. Most of our bath and body products are made with lavender essential oil or the Hydrosol.
Okay. Well, you have a distillery here on site that you make your products with. Will you show us that?
I'd love to show it to you. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, Julie, so here we are at your distillery.
Yeah.
Tell us what happens here.
So when we harvest the lavender, we bring it fresh here to the distillery. There are lots of ways that you can extract the essential oils and the hydrosol from a plant, but we want to do it the cleanest way possible because we're making aromatherapy items and bath and body products. And so we're going to use steam distillation. It is very clean, it leaves no residual at all in the oils, and it doesn't damage the earth a bit. And so what we do is that we fill a whole hopper full of our lavender flower buds, and we bring this hopper and we put it into this tank. And you can see that the tank is just a bit longer than the hopper.
Yes.
That's because there's water in the bottom of the tank, and we're going to boil the water. It causes the steam to pass up through the lavender that's in the hopper basket, and the steam causes the lavender to sweat, and it sweats from its oil glands. And so those little droplets of oil are going to rise up through this distillery system until they come to this big copper circle here, which is the condenser. In the condenser, when the steam is pushed into that, it begins to cool. And when a steam begins to cool, it turns back into a liquid. So that liquid begins to drip right here into this box. This box is very special. It's called a separator or an essencer. That's where the essential oil is beginning to separate from the hydrosol. The pressure begins to push it up this little graduated cylinder, and this is what we get. We get a lavender essential oil, and we get a hydrosol. The lavender oil is always going to be lighter than the water, so it's going to sit on top of the graduated cylinder. It rolls over the top and comes down into the spigot, and we just tap it off into glass, and we take the hydrosol and siphon it off into big jugs.
Well, I think it's interesting to see this. You talked about how clean it is. I mean, this is completely see-through. I don't see there's nothing floating around in that, and even the water that comes off.
Absolutely, yeah, but yet it is full of just wonderful healing properties that lavender is so known for.
Right.
Depending on the variety of lavender that we might be distilling, it can be anywhere from clear to a very light gold to this Melissa, which caused a beautiful deep golden essential oil. So each of the lavender varieties produces its own unique essential oil that has a specific scent and a color.
So let's talk about some of the items that you make using the lavender oil.
Oh, goodness. First of all, we bottle it directly. We retail just the essential oil in 2 different varieties that we offer here at our farm. And then we also bottle directly the hydrosol. We sell it as a linen spray. It's beautiful. It's a distilled water, so you can put it in your iron. It's lovely to put on all of your linens. People also buy it for an aromatherapy mist. You can just spray it into the air and breathe it in for the relaxing properties.
And that's the water?
That's the hydrosol, yes.
Okay.
The lavender essential oil we just use by the drop. Lavender essential oil is very, very concentrated. 1 drop of essential oil can be equal to about 30 cups of tea if we were to steep the lavender flower buds.
Oh my
And so we
goodness.
only are using it by the drop, and we're making soaps and lotions and creams and massage oils and lots of lovely, lovely bath oils and other spa products.
Your gift shop here on the farm is loaded full of all kinds of things made with lavender, and it's absolutely amazing, and all those are made here.
They are, yeah. The sky's the limit of all the things that you can think of what we might add lavender to. And so many of those things we make right from scratch, buying butters that we can blend with the lavender essential oils and lotions and creams, and some of the things that we buy a base, and we go to our most organic natural sources that we can find for some of those cosmetic bases.
Well, I saw a sign in your gift shop that said lavender ice cream.
Oh, it's
Really?
wonderful. Yeah.
I can't even
Yeah.
imagine the flavor with ice cream. Tell us how that came about.
Oh my goodness, yes. So many of the ice cream flavors are now becoming sort of boutique flavors. And we actually went to the creamery with this idea, and they also were surprised. They thought, lavender in the ice cream? So we now do a blueberry lavender, a strawberry lavender, and a vanilla. And in the fall we do apple pie lavender.
Oh,
It's
that sounds
just
wonderful.
delicious. It's just delicious, yeah. And it's really good for you too.
Great. Well, now you mentioned the drying house.
Yes.
Can you take us there and show us what it's all about?
Absolutely. We actually had Community Harvest Day just yesterday, and so the drying barn is full. Let's go see it.
Great, thanks. So we've made it to the drying and debudding barn. Obviously, we've got a lot of hanging plants in here. Tell us what happens in here.
Absolutely. When we harvest the lavender all season long, we're bringing it here to the barn because we need it to dry. And so we've designed these racks to put each of the bundles on, and it stays in here for about a week to 10 days. And then we need to take the buds off of all of these stems, so we do debudding.
None of this will be distilled because the buds are distilled for the oil and the water when they're fresh.
That's correct. With our big farm distillery, we are only using fresh lavender. We could distill some dried bud in some of the small stills that we use, but not for any of our production.
Okay, so all these buds are hanging in here. How do you get the buds off of their stems?
Absolutely. So often things are done manually on a lavender farm. And so it might be that we take a bucket and we simply roll the lavender, all the bundles just like this, and you can see how quickly all of the buds come off of the stem.
Oh,
so this
goodness.
is one way that we can debud the lavender. However, recently we've been using a machine.
Okay.
Yeah, the debudding machine basically uses the same principle. We have a vacuum cleaner brush that we're able to just gently glide each bundle in against the vacuum cleaner brush, and it gently beats the buds right off of the stem, and we end
Okay.
up with just an empty bundle.
Now, something that I thought was interesting that you and I talked about earlier was that lavender is a natural insect repellent.
Yeah.
Tell us some of the ways it's used for insect repelling.
Well, sure. So sometimes people will use the lavender buds themselves. They might make a little pouch or things. They're going to put it in with their woolens. It's great for repelling moths.
Okay.
That's something that the colonists started when they first settled our country. However, we have also learned that there's a lot of oil in the stem itself. And so this is a byproduct of the lavender. The buds are very valuable to us in other ways. And so we can chop the stem up and even put it in with our chicken litter and just keep the insects out of the litter for the chickens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're trying to learn how to use every little bit of the lavender plant.
That's wonderful. Well, we have one more stop to make. We're going to go up to the gazebo and kind of get an overview of the whole farm.
Oh, we look forward to it.
Okay. So here we are on top of the hill overlooking the Discovery area. It's so pretty up here, and there's so many different little sections you have on the whole farm. What can people expect to see and do when they visit White Oak Lavender Farm?
Oh, Amy, we try to have a little something for everybody. We want both men, women, older people, and children to enjoy our farm. When families come to the farm, there's so much that they can do out here in the Discovery area. We have everything from the life-size checkerboard and life-size Jenga and games that children can play outdoors to a very contemplative labyrinth walk. Many people love to come to the lavender farm because they might have a big decision to make in their life and they want to get just in the quiet of the gardens. We also have you-pick. People just enjoy so much during season to come out and pick their own lavender that they can dry and then have their lavender to use all winter. We also offer many tours and classes here at the farm. So during the season from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we have a daily tour 1 hour after opening.
So this tour that you give every day, what are some of the highlights of it? Because this is really a historical area that we're sitting on.
It is. White Oak Lavender Farm sits on historical battleground from the Civil War era. And not too long after the war, this was all taken down for farming. So for me to have lavender growing on something that is war-torn property is very, very meaningful. So on the daily tour, we often tell a little bit about the history. We show the distilling demonstration, and of course, people learn all about the lavender and how to process it too.
Okay. Well, if our viewers would like to have more information about White Oak Lavender Farm, where should they go?
Oh, our webpage at www.whiteoaklavender.com. There you can read all about the events and the classes and the ongoing things that are happening at the farm. You also can see what flavors of lavender ice cream we have that week.
I can't wait to try it. Julie, thank you so much for having us out here today. It's been so enjoyable. It's absolutely beautiful.
Well, we had a perfect day for your visit.
We really did. And now I'm going to try your lavender blueberry.
Absolutely. I have lavender vanilla. If people want to check our webpage at www.whiteoaklavender.com, you can see what flavors of the day that we might be carrying.
That's delicious.
Glad
that
you
is
liked
delicious.
It.
Thanks
Isn't
again.
It good? Yeah. You're welcome.
We'll be right back. Cleaning up your garden now can help you better prepare for the spring. With tips, here's Chris Mullins.
We're at Randolph Farm at Virginia State University, and it's starting to get a little cool outside. You've probably gone through the summer, you've had your great garden, and you're kind of finished up, and you might be a little tired. So it might be time to think about cleaning that area up and getting ready for next spring. Now, one of the first things you might think about when you're cleaning the garden up and getting ready for the winter is to get all your implements, all your tools and things out of the garden. Things like tomato sticks like this. You get them up, get them out of the way, get them put away so that they'll stay straight and they won't bow on you. So that's one good thing, to get those things all out of the garden. You know, and also this time of the year is a good time to think about amending your garden. And you can start by doing a soil test and see exactly what you might need into your garden, whether you need some sort of amendment like lime, or maybe if you need some compost. Compost can be a great thing to put on in the fall. You could take an area like this, till it up, get it ready, put your compost down, 2 to 3 inches of compost over the area, your garden area, and then incorporate that in. And that's going to do a lot of things. That's going to increase your drainage later on in the spring. It's going to add organic matter, and it's going to add some fertility to the plants that you're going to grow in the spring. And even if you want to put some cover crops in right now, that's going to help you with that fertility. Well, this is another patch here, and you can see that we've got some peppers growing, we've got some eggplant growing. And I would encourage you, if you've got those things still growing in your garden, you keep those going as long as possible. Get that last pepper off there, get that last eggplant off there. And after you've done that and you clean up your garden like we talked about before, it might be time to try something different. I've always wanted to put a cover crop down, and this might be the season to do it. We got a nice cover crop growing here. And a cover crop is basically plants that are going to grow on the ground. We don't want to keep the ground bare through the winter time because you'll get a lot of soil erosion. So you want to put something on it, and this cover crop can also, in the springtime, be tilled in. Maybe about 3 to 4 weeks before you plant. This can all be tilled in, and what it'll do is decompose, and it'll add organic matter to the soil, and it might even add some nutrients. So it can be a real nice addition to your garden before you plant in the spring. Some ones that you might try are like hairy vetch and rye, Austrian winter pea, some of those, and there's others that would do very well for you and can help be a good amendment to your garden for the springtime. Well, for more information about cover crops or cleaning your garden up for the winter, contact your local county extension office and talk to your master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins, and we'll see you next time.
Taking a look at the ag calendar, last week we looked at Virginia's freshwater shrimp production. Well, you have a chance to taste that shrimp for yourself at Shirley Plantation Shrimp Boil on September 19th. There are 2 serving times, and tickets also include drink vouchers and live music. For tickets and more information, visit the web address on your screen or visit the Shirley Plantation gift shop. That does it for our show. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great week. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming.
From apples to zucchini, Virginia farmers work hard to put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.